Welcome to the garden. Today we're going to be answering the question, should you clean out last year's nest from your birdhouses? My original thought was that maybe the birds would like to reuse the old nest, but the more I researched, the more I found that it's beneficial to clean out that old nest. I discovered though that all my birdhouses are virtually inaccessible. I might be able to shake out some of the material from this central hole, and there is a lot in there. There's a lot of dried grass, some old leaves, some seeds, which I kind of found surprising, all sorts of little random scraps. Like, look at this little piece of nylon, probably some stuffing from a jacket or a pillow or something. The old nests can actually harbor mites. So really, for the safety of those new baby birds, get out all the little scraps, because if there are any mites in there, they'll just attack those little baby birds right when they hatch. There might also be bacteria and stuff in here. Ideally, you would have some sort of easy access. So when I look for new birdhouses in the future, I want to keep that in mind. Maybe have some sort of hinged roof or a back panel. I might even make one from scratch and see if we can customize it so that it's easy to clean. So if we could get in here, I would want to scrub it out really well and even spray it down with a mild bleach solution just to sterilize everything. And then we would just let it air dry a bit, just so the chlorine can have time to evaporate. Then it's basically ready to use. The birds that take up residence in these birdhouses will provide free pest control for the garden. It may be tempting to set them up directly in the garden, but that might be a little bit too busy for them. I also don't put them too close to any bird feeders, because those can be really busy. They like a little more seclusion. So I set this up as high as I can reach on a branch that's big enough to support the house, but not really big enough to support a large predator. It's also relatively close to the garden, but it's not in a heavily trafficked area. And it's not too close to any other birdhouses or bird feeders, so I think this is going to be just fine. This one had been set up for about a minute, and I already saw some chickadees visiting. If you can't clean these out, it's not the end of the world. The birds will probably still use them. This one's going to go way up on this tree, right up close to the trunk. And I'm actually going to anchor it to the trunk so that it doesn't flop around. So I'm going to use some string and just anchor the base. Some birds don't mind a little wobble, but others really don't like that motion. So try and keep them clean if you can. But if not, don't really worry about it. Just keep that in mind when you're buying any new birdhouses. We want them about as far off of the ground as we can, away from any horizontal branches. Keep them at least 10 feet away from other birdhouses, bird feeders, or heavily trafficked areas. But the most important thing is really just to get out there and set up those birdhouses. And they'll just pick the ones they like. So I hope you give this a go in your garden. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.